Hi guys, and welcome back to a new devlog. This time I've been working on the gliding, building a test level, and somehow finding all the bugs. I really wanted to add some more movement options to the player so that I can start on some level design, because I can't really do anything if I don't know how long the maximum player jump is or how fast the player can actually move. Before I added anything too fancy, I wanted to add a glide, so I opened Sprite and got back to work making a gliding animation. I firstly had the idea for a parachute, because, well, how else do you expect someone to glide? But then I saw how huge the parachute would be, and I decided against it. It wasn't really the size of the parachute compared to the player or the level, it was more my inability to make it feel like a parachute, where, for example, even after you deploy it, it takes some time before it catches you, and it has quite a bit of sudden knockback, and I just couldn't achieve this with how I made the camera system. So I reconsidered and went a different direction. I suddenly had the idea to use the jacket of each of the players as a parachute, because who doesn't want to have a jacket parachute? I firstly started by copying the player from the normal file and pasting him into a new empty one. Because I used Sprite's layer functions to paint the sprites, I would normally have to copy each layer, aka first his backpack, then his torso, legs, head, and then his arms, separately into an empty file. But because I wanted to get this over with fast, I flattened all the layers, making them just into one simple layer, and copied the PNG-ified player, saving the file and closing it. And I went to work making a holding the jacket animation for the player. After I had a rough draft, I reopened the player's normal file to create a smoother and more refined version in there. And as I was opening it, it dawned on me that before I had saved the file, I didn't undo the layer flattening, meaning now all the different layers where normally one single object is on are now squished onto one layer permanently, giving me the painstaking job of relayering everything for an hour. After that was done, I got back to work making the final jacket animation and adding it into the game. It was very simple to import into Godot and only caused minor, very funny visual glitches because I had to change the canvas size to fit the jacket, and that caused everything to be off-center and just weird looking, so I had to adjust it again. Once done, I got to work adding the actual functionality of the gliding, which was also fairly easy, as all I needed to adjust was to add a if condition to the falling state, where if you keep the character's button pressed, the downward velocity stays constant and the gliding animation plays. Once I had the gliding working, I wanted to start making a test level so that I have more segments where I can show off things like throwing objects or crouching, both of which I have planned. I started by finalizing the tile sets I made the last devlog by adding some needed reverse corner tiles, which allowed me to not just construct differently sized rectangles now. After that, I started testing the game and found a bug, and another one, and a third one, this continuing until the list of bugs became incomprehensibly long. Some of them were funny, like the bugs where you could fly due to the gliding somehow changing the velocity to propel you upward, or the bug where you would just jump higher than the camera. There was also the bug where you could be stuck in the climbing animation and couldn't move, the bug where you fell below the map and the camera would freak out, and the bug where you would just walk past some tiles and get stuck. I managed to fix a few of them, but some of them were just freak accidents and I couldn't replicate all of them. So I had my work cut out for next week, it seems like. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed watching, and until next time. And if you want to see how it all started, here's the first video in my journey to completing this game.